Did you know you could record the phone calls you generate via Google Ads? Now, if you set up your campaigns to track phone calls as your primary objective, Google Ads have recently updated their system to allow you to record the phone calls your campaigns are generating and listen to them in terms of playing them back within Google Ads. Now, this is really important for those who are generating leads via their campaigns as opposed to making online sales. So this feature is something that's pretty much underutilized because it's quite new and not many people know about it. Before I explain the pros and cons of the system and how it works, for all of you eager beavers out there who want to go ahead and watch the tutorial of me walking through the setup and analysis of this report, I've timestamped the tutorial down below in the description so you can jump straight away into that if you like. But for those of you who are all about the knowledge, then please listen on, because this is a really important feature in Google Ads and it's a recent update that's positive. As we all know, there's been a negative update recently as well. So being something positive, I think we should understand it and see if it's something that you can implement as a business. Quite often when I speak to businesses about their campaigns and their sales process internally in terms of when the phone rings, how often does it convert into a sale versus the total number of leads you're generating? And quite often the question can be a little bit pointless. In fact, this question has a whole module in my PPC Accelerator because it's really important to benchmark how your PPC campaigns are going to perform. Because if your phone rings non-stop off the hook and you're generating tons of phone calls every day, but you're not making any sales, you know there's a problem. So this feature and functionality in Google Ads to record the phone calls to allow you to analyze them will give you a definitive number as to how many calls you're actually converting from a lead into a sale. This is particularly handy for niches with really high CPCs. I've worked in industries where CPCs can be as high as £50, 50 British pounds, believe it or not, per click. So things like that and recording phone calls becomes really, really important. So how does it actually work within Google Ads itself? Well, first of all, you need to set up phone call conversions. Maybe you need to create a mobile call only campaign. Maybe you need a call extension on your text ads in terms of allowing users to click your ad and initiate a phone call, or even set up call tracking on your website. So Google Ads allows you to use conversion tracking to track phone numbers across your website. So it replaces your original phone number with a dynamically replaced call recording number. So when a customer comes across your website via Google Ads, they can click onto your phone number on a mobile device, or they can just type the number into their device themselves and make a phone call. And because it's been replaced dynamically, Google can record the data and the outcomes of those calls. So that is what you need to do first of all. Make sure you're tracking phone calls in your campaigns as one of your primary objectives. If you're not tracking phone calls, of course, this isn't going to work for you. Once you decide you want to record phone calls in Google Ads, it's just a case of enabling this feature within your Google Ads campaign settings. Once you've done that, Google will then start recording phone call data in the background, and then you can view this data in your reporting in Google Ads. There's a predefined report that I can walk you through in this video that will show you exactly how many calls you've generated, and then specifically how long those calls have lasted, and some other data around the calls as well. But the most important part is the link that allows you to listen to the phone calls specifically and record the outcomes yourself. Now, recording the outcomes yourself is a bit more difficult because Google doesn't have any functionality to allow you to log anything against each of the phone calls. So I'm going to show you specifically in this video how you can export the data and then create a simple table in Excel that will allow you to understand your lead to sale conversion rate on the phone when you start logging those outcomes, which is all coming up. Another thing to note is that when you do enable this feature, Google will pre-play a short message to the people who call your business before the call is connected, just telling them that the call is being recorded, which I believe is a legal requirement in the UK and the US. So that's something your customers are going to hear. If that puts you off, then maybe you shouldn't enable the feature because your customers will hear this message. But I think by now the market understands this is the case when you call a business. When you think about when you call utility companies, it generally plays this message before the call is connected. So there's no issue with this, in my opinion, from the market itself. So here's my process for using this tool. First of all, enable it. Make sure you're recording phone calls. When you gather data, gather your phone call data for 1 month and then listen back to all the phone calls you generate over a month and then rate each of those calls in terms of the outcome. Was it just a general customer service inquiry? Was it a new customer inquiry? Was it a sale? Was it a good lead? All of these things need to be recorded, and there are a few categories you can look at in terms of recording your phone calls, which I will show you. So once you understand the categorization of those leads, you need to log them, and then within a month you'll have enough data to understand whether or not your campaigns are successful. If there are issues and you're not converting many of your leads into sales, it could be something in your campaigns. Maybe there's a mismatch with the negative keywords in your account, maybe the search terms compared to the keywords are mismatched, maybe the messaging on your website isn't quite right. Either way, it means you need to resolve something, or even worse than that, it could be that your sales guys or even you aren't performing as a salesperson. So if you're burning through loads of good leads on the phone, there's an issue in your business there as well. So this tool can highlight all sorts of things that are really positive to help you improve your campaigns. So I guess the only thing left for me to do now is to walk you through this tool, how to enable it, how to extract the data, and how to build a simple report that will tell you whether or not your phone call outcomes are positive or negative for your business, and then log those outcomes. So before I do that, if you like what you're hearing so far, hit the like button below and let me know, question of the day. Now you know more about this feature, are you going to use it? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll discuss it with you down there. On with the tutorial, let's set this thing up. Okay, so let's set up call recording. The first thing you need to realize is that you need to enable your phone call conversion tracking first of all. So if you go into tools and settings and then conversions, you need to set up a conversion a lot like this one I have here. I've called it call from website, and essentially if I go to the setup of the tag, you will see that you need to add this tag to your website first of all, to all pages within the head of your website. Then you need to enter the phone number that appears on your website, exactly how it appears on your website. So I've got it here, and as you can see on my test website here, that's how the phone number appears. Again, this is a test account and a test website for demonstration purposes. Now, as you can see, that's how the number appears, and then you need to install this snippet on every page the phone number appears. And then that will set up your call recording in terms of tracking conversions from phone calls on your website. Now, that doesn't enable call recording itself. We'll go on to that in a sec. I just need to show you specifically how to set up your on-website call conversions in terms of setting that up. So that's one source of calls you can record from Google Ads. The other source is through your call extensions within your ad extensions. So head into ad extensions, and then you'll make sure you've got your call extensions in here. And I've got a couple of call extensions used in some of my campaigns. Now, obviously these are disapproved because it is a test account. But if you go into this and then click on edit, just make sure that call reporting is turned on. So Google Ads is reporting on the data from phone calls. Again, this will not set up call recording. All it will do is report the numbers in terms of phone call volumes and durations, etc. So that's important to note. But those are the two sources you're going to get your phone calls from. If you have a mobile campaign that's call only ad, then of course that will be another source of phone calls. But these are the main places you're going to see your phone calls originate in terms of what tracks in Google Ads. So let's enable phone call tracking in Google Ads itself. So let's close this down. And then what you need to do is go to your settings, but not your campaign settings, your account level settings. Call recording is enabled at account level. So then once you are inside your account settings, you have a number of options, and then one of the options you have is call reporting. Now you'll see I've turned it on. So get detailed information about calls you've received. So that's on. So I'm actually reporting on the phone call data, but not the recording itself. To enable the recording itself, you need to click on this option that says on. Now, when you do that, you agree to Google's terms and conditions. Now, I'm not going to read these out to you. You can read them at all times. Essentially, if you don't accept them, you can't use the feature. So you just need to make sure that you accept it in order to use the feature. When you click accept, it means that your account, after you click save, of course, that means your account has now been opted into call recording. So when somebody calls your business via your Google Ads campaigns, it will report into Google Ads. So now that you've enabled call recording in your account, the easy thing to do now is, of course, look at the report itself. Google have created a predetermined report in Google Ads that will allow you to see your call recording data. So head into reports,
and then go onto predefined reports, which was formerly known as dimensions. Then go into extensions, and then if it stops jumping around, go into call details. Now this will pull up the call details report. Now of course this is a blank account, so you're not going to see any data in here, and we've also just enabled this feature. So I'm just going to click close on this. There's a walkthrough guide that Google shows you nowadays with Google Ads, which is a good thing, by the way. So when this starts populating with data, you'll see the duration, country code, caller area, caller phone number, and this column here, recording, is the important one, because what will appear here is a hyperlink of the call recording itself. So I'm just going to show you now a screenshot of what that looks like. That's coming on your screen right now, so you'll see exactly what the call recording screenshot shows. So now you can see what the reporting will look like and what to expect when you see this screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into Excel, because I've pre-downloaded one of my clients' call reports, and I'm going to walk you through how to format it so that we can look and analyze the outcomes of phone calls and then log that as a report. Okay, so here is one of my clients' reports I've just downloaded, and this is what you'll see on your screens when you download the data. So what I'm going to do is format this data so that we can analyze the performance of the phone calls and log the outcomes. So let's make it more visible and formatted so we can see exactly how we do this. So let's delete the first two rows first of all, because we don't need them. Next, let's click on the top and highlight these cells, and then when you've highlighted all the cells, just double clicking anywhere where it has a divider line will expand the cells, and there we go. We can read all of the columns with ease. Now let's also go to View, Freeze Panes, and then freeze the top row, which will enable the headings to fix in place as you scroll through the data as and when you need to. Next thing we need to do is format the choice of options that you can choose from when rating these calls. Now if you have a business and you want to make sure your employees who are listening to the calls, or you've got team and staff in your marketing department listening to the calls, you want to make sure that outcomes are consistently logged and that people aren't giving their own labels to calls. So in order to do that, we need to add a little bit of data validation. So add a new tab here, and we're going to add 4 categories of calls. Now, of course, you can add as many categories as you want bespoke to your business, but I'm going to go with the following. I'm going to go with existing customer, new customer inquiry, new customer lead, new sale. Okay, so those 4 categories. So existing customers, just customer service calls, run-of-the-mill calls you'll get as a business. New customer inquiry, just somebody just asking what you do, and kind of like a very soft lead. So not somebody who's really interested in what you do. New customer lead is someone who's really interested in what you do, asking for information. Maybe you've quoted them, maybe they've gone down the quote process and they've asked for more information. And then new sale, of course, is the outcome is the customer has purchased from your business. I think these 4 categories pretty much cover enough bases. So now we've done that, what we need to do next is add this validation to the first sheet. So now we've got our list of items we want to use as validation for the list. We need to, of course, add a column for the call rating. So let's add that in now. So there's the call rating column. Next up, what we're going to do is make sure the validation is in place. So click on the first cell where the data is for the first call rating you want to use. Then go to data, and then go to data validation, and then click on data validation again. And then underneath the validation criteria, click on list, and then under source, just click on source, and then go to your sheet 1, select the source, and then click OK. That will create a drop-down list where you can click these items, and then every single time the user of this spreadsheet will need to click one of these options in order to choose the call rating. Now, of course, this only applies to the first cell, so if you click on the corner where it turns to a cross and double-click, that usually populates it down, but in this occasion it's not worked. So let's drag it all the way down to the bottom. And that will add your data validation. So every single cell now has to choose from those options. So of course, as you're listening to the phone calls, you can see the date and the timestamp on the left-hand side. Now in Google Ads, of course, when you download the data, it's going to be in the same order you have it in Google Ads. Now, what you can do specifically is just make sure that you've got it sorted in the same order as Google Ads, and you can use the timestamp to do that. And then here's a screenshot of how the report looks within Google Ads. I'm just going to drag it across because this is my client's data and I've kind of normalized it. So here is the data you would see. and then here's the data I've downloaded from that list. And essentially all you're going to do is in Google Ads, you're going to press play to listen to the phone call and then look at the corresponding timestamp, and every single call you listen to, you're going to give it a rating. So once you've done that, you'll have a list of phone calls that have got different ratings across all of the different phone calls that have come into your business. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to populate this report with a bunch of test data, and then we're going to look at analyzing how well the data performs in terms of your conversion rate of lead to sale or inbound phone call to sale. So let's do that now. Okay, so now I've populated this with the data based on our validation. So it's going to be one of the 4 options we set up as we listed here, these 4 options. Let's add some data to this so we can actually analyze what's going on here. So the first thing is, let's just find out how many phone calls there have been. So if you click the very first row of data and under call rating, hold down Control and Shift and press down. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you will see count. So there's 117 calls in this data sheet. So let's log that just for now for reference. So total calls, and then we'll put in 117. Okay, and then let's just format that so it looks like it stands out so we can see this in a report. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to have headings for each of the call ratings, and we're going to count how often each of these ratings appear so we can break that down. So let's start the process. So let's start off with new sale, then we'll do new customer lead, then we will press help there, then we will do new customer inquiry, and then we will do existing customer. So again, highlight the cells at the top, and if you double click, that will reformat the size automatically. So we've got our headings here. So let's format these as well in black and white so it stands out, and then we'll give them highlighted cell lines as well. Okay, so let's start actually counting this data in this spreadsheet and populating these areas. Now, in order for us to do that, we need to do something called a count if formula. So let's count the ifs of new sales. So if you click into that cell, press equals, and then start typing count, and then you'll see it say count if. There's the formula we want. And then the range is, of course, all of the data underneath call rating. So if you click on the first one, again, hold down Control Shift and press down. That will select the entire range. Let's go back to the top of the screen by using the scroll bar. And then next it wants your criteria. So we'll press comma, and then we're going to do double quote, and we're going to type in new sale, exactly in the format as it is on this side of the screen. So now we've done that, all you need to do is hit enter, and that will count how often new sale appears in that data list. So you'll see there's 45 occurrences. Let's do the same again for new customer lead. So again, count if, or equals, sorry, equals count if. Select the range, first cell, Control Shift, down, select the whole range, press comma, and then of course you want to do your double quote, and then type in your next thing, which is new customer lead. Okay, so I'm back now. I've created all of the data underneath here using that count if formula. Just to clarify, you select all the data, you'll see it still adds up to 117. So now we have the data in terms of how your calls are performing in terms of new sales, new customer inquiries, new customer leads, and existing customers in terms of those call outcomes. Now, of course, this is example data, so the new sale area is very heavily weighted. So that's something to take into consideration in this particular example. Now let's do a bit more with this. Let's work out our conversion rate of sales in terms of total number of calls to sales. So of course, if you do equals sum, and then take the total number of sales and then divide that by the number of calls, and then make that percentage, that is your conversion rate of call to sale. So let's call this call to sale rate. Again, let's left justify that, and then add it black and white, and then give it a border as well for effect. So now you've got that data. You can see clearly there you have call to sale rate is highlighted there. We now can understand what our customer lead to sale rate, call to sale rate is in our campaign. In addition to that, what we'll do is we'll go away with this data, make the changes internally in terms of the business itself. And then when we come back and do this exercise again, we hope to see this rate actually increase. And that, guys, is how to analyze your call recording data on Google Ads.
This video was brought to you by the PPC Accelerator, a Google Ads training program with over 80 videos of content. You also get 2 additional courses around the Google Tag Manager so you can track and tag all your activity. You also get access to the Excel course, which shows you how to report on your PPC results using Excel spreadsheets. You also get unlimited and unrestricted access to me as your tutor, so I'll be there to help you every step of the way. And of course, you get access to all future content on the course, including the really advanced stuff. So check out the PPC Accelerator and join today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please leave a like below. Let me know in the comments, again, my question of the day. Will you now use this feature for your Google Ads campaigns? Let me know in the comments. I reply to most of the comments I get down below, so hit me up there. More important than that, don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other content across my channel, and I'll see you guys on my next video.